Okay, everybody. This next video is going to be on this assessment link and this your own work link. It's going to be a little bit long-ish compared to the other ones, but this is kind of where your grade comes from. So I'm going to click on the assessment link. Whoops, left click. There we go. Okay, so I had to change some of this stuff because of our online nature of our course. A lot of my course was already online, which is great. But there's definitely some stuff that we want to make sure that we understand before starting this course together. The first thing, I've started using what's called a technology assessment. Now, you may have noticed this. I'm going to back up real quick. You may have noticed this link on the schedule page, this very, very first link here, this mandatory tech assessment. I'm going to click on it so you can actually see it when it pops open. And what this is how most of my assessments are going to look. They're just going to be documents that open up. I'll make it a little bit bigger so we can see it. Okay. And it's a document for you to read, and you're going to scroll through here and you're going to read all this stuff, and you're going to read, and you're going to do steps 1, and then you're going to do step 2. Notice how some of these things have links on them. You can click on these things, and you can click on this, and it's very informative. What you're learning in this assessment is you're learning how to submit things to me digitally. In particular, I'll give you a quick overview. You're learning how to take a picture of something and get it into a document that you can upload to Blackboard. You're also learning how to take screenshots, which you're going to have to do from time to time in the course. You're also going to learn how to create some kind of a digital document. I use Microsoft Word, and I said, or whatever word processing program you prefer to use. Okay? And then you're going to learn in the last thing how to collate all the documents you've created into one place. I understand this might be a challenge if you've never done it before. I'm hoping most of you have, or at least some of you have. But if you haven't, don't worry. We will be able to work with you to get these things done. And what you'll notice in Blackboard, there will be a folder that says Mandatory Tech Assessment. And you're going to upload that document into Blackboard when you've completed doing the document. Okay, so it's a bit of reading. What you'll learn is this is what my assessments look like. Here's what you're not going to do. You're not going to print this thing out. I don't want you to print anything in this course. Everything we're going to be doing, especially on the online component of this course, is online. That does not. I don't want you printing anything out. Some of you might be tempted to print things out and then write on the printed document. I don't want you doing that. For a number of reasons. Number one, I don't want you having to print anything. That means you have to have access to a printer, which I don't want to assume that you have. But also, number two, you're not going to have room to write answers on these pages. So that's the mandatory tech assessment. Let's go back to here so we can see it. And you might notice, whoops, assessment. Here we go. That's worth 20 points towards your overall grade. Okay? And like I said, it'll be the first thing you submit to Blackboard in the end of week 1. And we can chat about it. If you ever get stuck with anything like that, you got plenty of time between the time I'm recording this video and the time you'll be submitting that. That's the mandatory tech assessment. Okay. These next bit here are the optional during class quizzes. Emphasis on optional. Okay, so every day I'm going to have, like you're watching right now, we're going to have videos. They'll be more fun past the first day because they'll actually be about math and not about boring syllabus stuff. Each of those days will have an optional, I put during class in quotes, quizzes, because some of you might actually do the quizzes before the class time. Remember, I'm going to be holding a Zoom meeting during class time. So for the Monday, Wednesday class, that's 1 to 3 on Monday, Wednesday. And from the Tuesday, Thursday class, that's 10:15 to 12:15 Tuesday, Thursday. There'll be a folder in Blackboard that disappears after the class. Not immediately after the class, but soon after the class, that you can upload the optional quizzes to. Optional quizzes. Now, I haven't even made any of these yet. I'm going to make the first one after I get done recording these videos today. But basically, they're going to look like the tech assessment. There's going to be a document with a series of questions on it, and you're going to have to create a document to answer those questions on. It could be scrap paper, or it could be a Word document that you then upload to Blackboard. Your choice, again, your choice, whatever you have access to, whatever's easiest for you. And we'll talk about how to get some stuff uploaded into Blackboard momentarily as we go through the rest of this video progression. So those are optional. You never have to do any of those, but if you choose to do them, I'll grade them out of 10 points and they'll become part of your grade. Okay. You might also have noticed in the schedule page the Friday quizzes. Let's take a look at the schedule page again. Yeah, like on this first week, there's going to be 2 quizzes, the quiz on quiz points and the quiz 1 from the fundamental counting principle. I'm just going to click on one of those real quick so you can see what it looks like. It looks similar, again, to the tech assessment. It's me talking to you. You might also note that these have individual numbered questions. 1 is worth 2 points. 2 is worth 2 points. 3 is, and so forth and so on. They will add up to 10 points by the end of the quiz because the quiz is out of 10 points. Every quiz is out of 10 points in this class. Okay. Now, the way you do this quiz is either, as I mentioned before, take a piece of scrap paper out and write question 1, or just write 1 and then do question 1, 2, do question 2, 3, and so forth and so on and so forth and so on. Or if you want to use a computer, open up a Word document like this and type 1, and then your answer to 1, and then 2, and then your answer to 2, and so forth and so on and so forth and so on, all the way down. You don't have to put your name on it because you're going to be uploading it to Blackboard, which means I'll see your name in Blackboard, which is great. You don't have to copy and paste the questions from the quiz into the Word document. As a matter of fact, I don't want you to do that because that makes it harder to see your actual responses. Some students, what they'll do, and this is fine, I have no problem with this, what they'll do is they'll actually copy the questions into Word and then answer their questions and then delete out all this stuff. If that's what it takes, that's totally fine, but only submit your answers. I don't need to see my actual document too. So that's another way to do it, either on scrap paper, take a picture of that and upload it to Blackboard, or a Word document, upload it to Blackboard. And that's a quiz. Now, as far as quizzes go, I call these Friday quizzes because I'm always going to have these linked on Fridays. Let me get back to the schedule page again. I'm always going to have these linked on Fridays. Okay? Every week is going to have at least 2 quizzes linked. I don't have any for week 2 or 3 or 4 yet. There'll always be some linked. I just want to see how the class progresses before I know which quizzes to put up on each week. Your job by the end of the term is to do at least 10. You have to do 10 or more. 10 is the minimum. As I mentioned before, I'm going to have at least 2 offered every week. That means you're going to have at least 20 to pick from. The reason I do this is a couple-fold, and I answer a couple of the questions as to why I do it in the quiz on quiz points. But the big idea is I want you to pick and choose the ones that you like. And that way the course is more enjoyable for you. You get to kind of pick topics that you enjoy or pick situations that you enjoy and avoid ones you don't. That's all I'm going to say for now. We can talk more as the class goes on. So you could do a minimum of 10 of the quizzes, which would mean you'd have 100 total points towards your overall grade. You could do more than that, which means they'd be worth more than 100 points towards your overall grade. I've got a lot of students that do that. We'll talk about that in class as well. So those are quizzes. Please note they're done. They're not done in Blackboard. I want to make a quick note about Blackboard now. You know what? We'll say it later. We actually talk about Blackboard. Okay, so that's quizzes. Projects are the next chunk of your points. These are spread throughout the schedule. You may have noticed one in week 3. There's one dimensional analysis. There's also one, I believe, in week 6. Yep, that's the savings account math. That's a good one. Not that any of them were bad, but that's one I've actually had students tell me, hey, I want to start a savings account for my kids after reading this, which is great. One in week 8, which is project number 3, which is an introduction to logic. And week 9 is another logic project. That's the applications of logic. These are 25 points apiece, 100 points overall. You add all 4 of them together. I'm going to go back to week 3, the dimensional analysis one. This one might get reworked this week. I've been meaning to get after this one and kind of play with it. If I end up having time, I will. I haven't worked on it in about 3 months, and it needs some tweaking. But it's going to look like a bigger quiz. Dimensional analysis is a topic that we've done quite a bit in Math 58 and Math 98. I'm not sure the rest of you that haven't done those courses, how much of it you've done. But this basically shows you how to convert units back and forth from measuring systems to other measuring systems. A lot of these things up top are just explanatory. They're showing you how to do things. This is kind of like another chapter of our online textbook. If you scroll down to the very last page or two, this is where the actual problems are. So this is what you'll turn in on your paper, whether it's a Word document or whether it's a handwritten page. Okay, so notice it's question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, and so forth and so on. There's a couple things you might notice about this. First of all, it appears as though I've given you answers in red, which I have. That's exactly what I've done, is I've given you answers in red. That's because in these problems, I want you to show me how to get those answers. I want you to show me how to get 17.64 liters is the same thing as 4.66 gallons. I'm telling you it's 17.64. I want you to show me how. Same thing with cubic centimeters to cubic inches. Same thing about these years. I'm giving you these answers. I want you to walk me through the actual math for doing this. Okay, some of them don't have W's on them. Some of them you're simply going to Google and looking up answers, but some of them are. Some of them do have you show me how to get the answers that you need. Okay, and then there are some that are optional. For example, this question number 6, 3 extra points. This is over and above the 25 points. So you can try anything that says extra points. You can try that. It's extra credit. I don't offer extra credit outside of this kind of stuff. So if you want to give it a shot, by all means, give it a shot. So that's what you'll end up doing with this project is you'll have a blank sheet of paper, just like your quizzes, kind of like this, and you're going to answer it the exact same way. Some people don't like to do math in Word documents, and that's fine. That's why I give you the option of doing math handwritten on paper and then uploading that to Blackboard. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Okay, so let's shut the projects down. And the last piece is called exams. I'm not going to say much about them right now, just because they're not written. The first one isn't written yet. It's not due till week 5, and we'll have much more time to chat about exams as we go. So this is how I collect points as we go through the course. Hopefully that makes sense. The one thing I wanted to real quickly chat about before I end this video is this your own work. You may have noticed at the very bottom here I mentioned make sure we're also free to, I should say feel free, also feel free to work with others on them. However, you must submit your own individual work. I want to make sure you understand what I mean by that. I really like it when my students work together. I think it's fantastic. But every once in a while, students push the boundaries of what is okay. So for example, I'm going to show you something that was turned in relatively recently. And here, I'm just going to show it to you. It's a little PowerPoint. Let me open it up here. This is 3 individual student submissions on an exam that I had them turn in. It was about a year ago now. Okay, so I'm gonna show you each of these here. As soon as don't need a Camtasia PowerPoint add-in. Just want you to, there we go. Okay, so this is one student's work for question 11, A, B, C, D, E, and then question 12 and 13. And it's not important for you to actually understand what is being written here. The important thing is that you just look at what is written here. Here's student 2, and here's student 3. Now, you might notice they're all exactly the same. There's no difference whatsoever between these three submissions. Interesting also is some of the phrasing. For example, this is how I calculated the winning with no period. Whoops. Also no period. Also no period. I played 15,017 games on Excel. So did this person. So did that person. I find it very hard to believe that they did a random number simulation and all three of them randomly got the same results. Her is how. That's here is how, not her. But notice her and her. So kind of overwhelming evidence that these three students submitted the exact same document. When I sent them all emails and asked them, they admitted to it, which was not that hard to actually identify. Please don't do this. I love it when you work with each other. I'm not sure how much that's going to happen with the current situation that we're in, but if something like this happens with you and some other student or students, each of you will get zeros on whatever assessment it happens on. Okay? Please don't do this. Here's some do nots. Don't copy and paste work from someone else into your submissions. It's very easy to do that. Don't do it because I will identify it. It's easy for me to find that kind of thing. This is how you can prevent this from happening. Do not email your work to other people because that makes it really easy for someone to be able to copy and paste. Don't do that. Keep your work to yourself. Work with someone, but don't work for someone, okay? If a question asks you to create something like a graph or a screenshot or Monte Carlo results, which you'll understand what that is momentarily, you yourself have to create it. You may have remembered I mentioned that these two students both ran 15,017 trials, which is very hard to believe that they all ran the exact same number of trials. Yeah, it's just don't do that. Each of you submit your own work. Again, I'm preaching to the choir here because 99.9% of you won't ever do what I just warned you against doing. However, as quickly as recently as last term, this did happen with two students. So it does happen every once in a while. I think it's worth talking about. Yeah, so that's that. Okay, let's stop this video now. I think it's long enough, and then we'll get into the submitting to Blackboard part.